Is there anything worse than getting your butt kicked by your rival? And that happened to the Brewers on Monday night, losing 18-1 in the opener of a 3-game set with the Cardinals. Here come the Cardinals and the Brewers. This was awful to watch. We'll get into that. The Brewers made a number of player moves as well. In addition, they signed Darin Ruf. All that and more coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Horrible game to watch. Honestly, what a horrible waste of time this was. Thank God it didn't take 3 hours and 30 minutes. On nights like this is when it's good that we don't have, that we have the shot clock, that we have the pitch clock, that we have all those clocks going on in every which way in the stadium to speed this game along, because this game took 2 hours and 38 minutes. We'll take that for an 18-1 butt whipping like the Brewers got on Monday night in the opener of a 3-game set. Just came off just crushing a very bad team, the Kansas City Royals. Went into St. Louis, and the Cardinals are playing so well right now. They are. I shudder to look at the standings right now, but here it is. They're 17-25 after starting the season 10-24. Their worst start in 98 years. But now they're 6.5 games behind the Brewers. They were 9 out at one point, but they're playing very well, and 6.5 out despite the Brewers taking 3 from Kansas City over the weekend. All right, we're going to get into that. Freddie had a bad night. The Brewers are in desperation mode. They are in desperation mode in some of the things they're doing right now. And this is what small market Milwaukee Brewers have to do at this point. We'll get into all that coming up next. Thanks for joining us here on Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman here. Been covering the Brewers for over 40 years for the AP Radio Network. I'm the morning sports anchor at 1310 WIBA in Madison. If you have a chance, listen to us on there on TuneIn in the morning, or on, if you're in Wisconsin, we have a big signal. Love doing the morning sports on 1310 WIBA in the morning. And, many of you heard me on sports talk shows over the years, and the Milwaukee Brewers are my favorite professional sports team. They are. And it was painful watching this game. Brutal. But fortunately, an 18-1 loss counts as much as a 2-1 loss. But you hate going into a game thinking, all right, Jack Flaherty hasn't pitched all that well as of late for the Cardinals, and he was due. He came in with an ERA over 6, and he was really, real good. Brewers, though, had the bases loaded against him in the first inning. Couldn't score. They let him off the hook. Now, could the Brewers have gone on and done some damage had they put up a crooked number there in the first inning? I don't know. I mean, Flaherty got that, and that's what good pitchers do. And we've seen that do with our pitchers. Corbin Burns, Woodruff, they struggle in the first inning. They tighten the bolts, and they get it done for 5, 6, 7 strong more innings. So that was where Jack Flaherty was tonight. He was not going to be denied, and the Brewers certainly had no answer. Only guy who could do anything for the Brewers, Rowdy Tellez. He got on base 4 times. Other than that, Nolan Arenado, who the Cardinals got for a song. I don't know how the Cardinals do this all the time, but they get these guys for nothing. I mean, teams give away Paul Goldschmidt. Teams give away Nolan Arenado to the Cardinals. How come the Brewers aren't ever in the mix for someone like that? Just once would love to see the Brewers get in. I mean, is it too much money? Is that what it is? Hey, but the Brewers signed Darin Ruf. Always get these guys when they're 36 or 37 years old. We'll get into that coming up here a little bit. Freddie Peralta, 5 1/3, 6 hits, 6 runs. After he gave up the 3-run home run to Nolan Arenado in the first inning, just had a feeling at that point, my gut Milwaukee Brewers feeling from knowing these guys like the back of my hand, that that was going to be game, set, match right there. Then we got to talk about the 8th inning. Game was already over at this point anyway. It was 8-1 going into the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Cardinals put up a 10 spot. 9 off reliever Gus Varland. Now, Gus was having a pretty good year. You know, he went down to AAA after the hand injury that he suffered in San Diego. So his ERA going into tonight was a nifty 2.36. He'll take that for a middle reliever. Coming out of this game, he went from, I'm laughing, but I'm crying, a 2.36 earned run average to 11.42. I'll say that again. 2.36 ERA to 11.42. 2/3 of an inning for Gus Varland. Gave up 9 runs, 2 homers. Mike Brasso came on, gave up a grand slam. So 3 of those runs at that point go to Gus Varland. And I heard the guys in the broadcast on TV tonight say, well, maybe the runs shouldn't be charged to Varland because it was given up by a position player. No. Gus, you put those guys on. Those are your runs, my friend. Brasso, you gave up the dinger for the grand slam. 3 home runs in the inning, 2 charged to Varland, 1 to Mike Brasso. Opening game of the series in St. Louis. I always feel it's a little embarrassing when you got to use a position player to finish off a game against your arch rivals, and you're in first place, and the Cardinals are in last place. Best part about this, again, 2 hours and 36 minutes, and the Brewers just an awful night, a forgettable night. You often hear coaches in basketball or football say a burn the tape game, where a team just gets their butts destroyed and they just forget about it, move to the next game. And I didn't hear Craig Counsell's post-game comments. Probably wasn't happy knowing the competitor that he is, that he got his butt kicked tonight, but it's only one game. And the Brewers now 23-18. 1 loss, 1 game. Let's not turn this 1 game losing skid into 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's not getting an O for road trip. Just came off a disastrous road trip a couple of weekends ago. Don't need to be doing that again. And the competition here, much better than it was with Colorado and San Francisco a couple of weeks ago. Because remember, we got St. Louis for 2 more games and then Tampa over the weekend. But Freddie Peralta, yeah. He had been so good. 3 quality starts in a row. Freddie was lousy. That's the best way to put it. Lousy. 6 hits, 6 earned runs. 5 quality starts, but he gave up the Arenado home run. And that was that. Yeah, the Gus Varland inning, the 10-run 8th inning. Can't blame anybody, but that was Gus Varland throwing meatballs up there. And it was swinging away. And with Brasso up there, giving up the grand slam, Ikes. We will talk about. Now we're not going to talk anymore about that game. We're going to move ahead of some of the moves. Some of the moves the Brewers made before the game, and some of these moves I think are in desperation, and some of these moves are moves that a team's got to make because I don't know. I don't think they fortified this team enough in the offseason, quite frankly. It's becoming more and more clear to me. We'll get to that coming up here in a little bit. The show is brought to you in part by Game Time. Game Time, a place to get your last-minute tickets. Game Time is download the Game Time app, create an account, and go from there because you're going to be able to look at and find seat locations. You're going to get a view of your seat locations, whether it's Fiserv Forum or AmFam Field, Lambeau Field, any concert venue, anywhere, theaters. You're going to see where your tickets are, a visual before you buy them. And that's the great thing about this. Flash deals, last-minute tickets. Game Time is great on last-minute tickets. Easy to find. Buy tickets from any kind of event in our area. Forget planning months in advance. Go to the last minute with Game Time. Get exclusive flash deals. Of course, you don't have to wait till the last minute, but they specialize in last-minute flash deals. Get images of your seat. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds. 2 taps, and you are all set. Tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through all your email and where did it go? Did it go in my spam? And did it go here or go anywhere? No. Just download the Game Time app. They make it easy. Some of these companies like to overcomplicate it. Game Time doesn't overcomplicate it. Create an account. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account. Redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. And it is great to have you back. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Brewers play again the St. Louis Cardinals in the second game of that 3-game set. 6:45 Central Standard Time is that first pitch. And you catch every pitch of the Brewers' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Brewers. Also, appreciate all you everydayers out there who are following us. And everydayers, it's a term we use here at Locked On. For those of you who follow us, watch us every day, whether you're watching us on YouTube and follow us on YouTube, you see us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell over there. It's going to alert you every time you want to watch an episode or you want to be alerted when we drop an episode. That bell there is going to, if you hit that, it's going to alert you every time we drop one. Also, if you want to hear the audio version, for those of you driving to work in the morning or driving around or whatever, doing what you're doing during the day, appreciate it as always. The Locked On version, the audio version of Locked On Brewers, Google, Apple, Spotify, just to name a few. I drop all the sites on my Twitter account, which is on Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND, Chuck Freeman. Follow me on Twitter. Love always hearing your instant reaction during the games, after games, before games. Love it because, the fans are the one that counts, and I want to hear what the fans have got to say, and I appreciate that very much. Anybody who's following me on Twitter and you everydayers out there, you guys who follow us each and every day on Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. Darin Ruf, the Brewers signed the 36-year-old, spent 3 years in the Korean League after he had a nice run, of course, with San Francisco. All right. The Mets didn't want him anymore. San Francisco DFA'd him. He had been sitting at home. He was visiting with his mother in Omaha, and the Brewers signed him 1 year, $3.3 million, option for next year, like 250 G's. Not a big risk for Darin Ruf, a guy who's brought in here, will play some first base and DH. Now, where is he going to play when we have two first basemen already? Well, they sent Luke Voigt to the injured list with a strained neck, a quote unquote strained neck or a neck strain. Or that, Luke, you're just not very good right now. And to keep you on this roster, we're going to put you on the injured list, make up an injury, and bring in Darin Ruf. Because if Darin Ruf starts producing some numbers, the Brewers are going to forget all about Luke Voigt, and they'll DFA him in a second. But as for Ruf, he's going to come in, be a veteran leader, hopefully. Bat against left-handers. The Brewers are up against the left-hander on Tuesday with Jordan Montgomery on the hill. Yeah, Jordan Montgomery's on the hill for the Cardinals. But this is a case, though, where the Brewers are scratching. This is like the 1990s Brewers right here, just trying to find a way to squeeze some at-bats, squeeze some production out of a guy like Darin Ruf. Again, nothing against Darin, 36 years old, but we have really nobody to turn to at AAA right now. No, nobody. Not going to go back to Blake Perkins, although he won the Player of the Week honors in the International League. Batted like .435 last week, but Blake Perkins cannot hit major league level pitching at this point on a consistent basis. And again, he's a rookie, so I didn't have high expectations for him anyway. Not a highly touted rookie anyway. So Darin Ruf, I have a feeling he's in the lineup tomorrow. Luke Voigt, injured list, 10-day injured list. We'll see where it goes from there. Keston Hiura, boy, that poor guy. He'd been hitting well. We've been talking about it here on the show. There's been a lot of chatter on Twitter whether or not the Brewers should bring him up, but he's out 3 to 4 months with a knee injury. 3 to 4 months. Be out for a long, long time. That's too bad. Derailed something positive that was really going on for him. And who knows? He might have been called up, but not for a while. He's got some rehabbing to do and some resting. 3 to 4 months with that injury. The Brewers did call up Trevor McGill, who they picked up from the Twins a couple of weeks ago. Reliever, 6'8" kid. Again, another thing, another move that they're just hoping to find some success where McGill has failed in other spots. That's just another one. Colin Ray sent down, has made numerous starts. Colin Ray gave the Brewers more than expected. Okay. Yeah. Did he get hit around a little bit? Yeah. Sunday was not a very good performance from him. I get that. But they got a lot out of him. The Brewers have decided to go from a 6-man to a 5-man rotation right now. And Colin Ray is the odd man out. And he gets sent down. Eric Lauer, when's the next time he's going to pitch? TBA or TBD, to be determined, to be announced. Now, Craig Counsell said that Lauer's probably going to be used this weekend against Tampa. That would be his next time. Lauer pitched 5 innings, 5 1/3 on Sunday, and pitched real well. So we'll see what happens with Lauer, but he fits into Craig Counsell's plans for the weekend against Tampa. And he's just come out the 5 innings, so he'll have a couple of days off here. But that's the plan for Eric Lauer. Sorry. I did not mean to call you Eric Lauer. I didn't mean that. There was no insult intended on that one. Eric Lauer will pitch coming up next weekend. Also, let's see. No, that's it. Those were the moves. Blake Perkins, International Player of the Week. Let's get to some of your tweets. Here. Let's go. Everybody's jumping here tonight with the Brewers. And of course, after a loss, it usually does. I said, well, it's a royal butt whipping tonight, served up by the hated Cardinals. Just a throwaway tape game for the Brewers. Well, the way Flaherty is pitching tonight, it's not going in the right direction. We'll look at tonight's opener later on tonight. I hate it when my team gets its butt kicked. Jody writes, of course, it's the Cardinals. EJ writes, the Cardinals could be 5-30 and they'd still crush the Crew. Casey writes, do you have a pitcher that's been so awful you benched your catcher? Just have him pitch against the Brewers. We'll put him right into Cy Young form. ASD says, Brewers fan, shocked you have not used it by now. Jordan says, who is this team? Which is a good question. I've been saying that all along. I don't know what to make of the Brewers. Are they a good team? Are they a team that just beats up on bad teams? They lost to bad teams a couple of weeks ago. Started off the season 15-6. I think we're going to go a long time before we're going to realize what kind of team this is. Randy says it's worse when we lose to those Cardinals. I'll just say, swear word in there. Brock in SB says easy money on St. Louis tonight. Yeah, betting wise, I would think the Cardinals, if you were really to play a game here, the Cardinals are so hot right now. And the Brewers, we're coming off the 3-game sweep. You probably got good money on St. Louis. I got to see what that line was. Nick says it was over for me when it was 4-0 and how Flaherty was pitching. It kind of was over for me at 3-0 after Arenado hit that home run. Check the line of tonight's game. Ooh, the Cardinals were a 175 favorite. Wow. Against Freddie? No, that's tomorrow's game. Tomorrow, they're 175. Tomorrow, the Cardinals are a 175 favorite. Tonight's game, I thought that seemed a little high. Tonight's game was a pick 'em. Oh, pick 'em. The line moved towards St. Louis too. The Brewers were a 115 favorite, and by game time, they were down to a 109 favorite. So a lot of late money came on St. Louis. That smart money out there. Yes. So the Brewers will face the Cardinals in game 2 of the series. We'll talk about that. We'll get to the box score coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Thanks for making Locked On Brewers your first choice. We're the #1 podcast on the internet. Thank you very much. I appreciate all you everydayers on us on here. Find me on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. Appreciate you finding me on Twitter. I've picked up a lot of Twitter followers since doing this. Of course, you hit us on all the audio apps where you download your podcasts. We're on there, Locked On Brewers. Just got to search for us. And, of course, on YouTube, Locked On Brewers as well. And, of course, tonight's game, Tuesday night's game against the Cardinals, 6:45 of that first pitch, second game of the series. Catch every pitch of the Brewers' hometown broadcast, Sirius XM, on the SXM app. Search Brewers. All right, let's get to the box score. Christian Yelich went 0 for 2. Owen Miller came on late in the game, went 1 for 1. 17 straight games that Owen Miller has reached base. Jesse Winker was in the 3-hole tonight. He went 2 for 4. Willie Adames, another 0 for Willie. He is struggling, 0 for 4. Rowdy Tellez reached base, 2 walks, 2 hits, 2 for 2. William Contreras went 0 for 4. Brian Anderson went 1 for 3. Darin Ruf did pinch hit 0 for 1, but I have a feeling he'll make the start tomorrow against the left-hander. Bryce Terang went 0 for 4. Tyrone Taylor went 0 for 4. Joey Weimer went 1 for 3. For the Brewers, Freddie Peralta, 5 1/3, 6 hits, 6 runs. Bryce Wilson, this was a Bryce Wilson game. Get him in there when the game is out of control. Bryce Wilson, an inning and 2/3, 3 hits and 2 earned runs. Gus Varland, painful line, 2/3 of an inning, 6 hits, 9 earned runs, 3 walks, 1 K, 2 homers. Mike Brasso, a third of an inning, 1 hit, the home run. And then the next guy bounced out to Rowdy at first base. But Gus Varland, his ERA has gone up to 11 after that performance. All right. The matchup for Tuesday night, Jordan Montgomery on the hill for the Cardinals. He's 2-5. He's got an ERA just over 4. Last time out against the Cubs, 5 innings pitched, 6 runs. He gave up. He started off the season pitching strong, 2 strong games in a row. And since then, he's lost 5 of 6. So the left-hander, Jordan Montgomery, and like I've told you, we don't have to beat you over the head with how bad the Brewers have been against left-handed pitching. Wade Miley made the start in his last outing, a bad outing for him. He makes the start tomorrow. Miley in his last 2 outings, remember, in his previous outing before the last outing, he gave up a 4-run lead in Colorado, and then he came back last week against the Dodgers and just got shelled. 4th, 5th, and 6th innings. The middle innings were just bad for him. So Wade, we'll see what he can do here after, again, shaky outing last time, gave up the 4-run lead in the previous outing for the Cardinals and the Brewers in game 2 of the series. Again, catch the game on Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search Brewers. Brewers and Cardinals, 6:45 Central on Sirius XM. Well, that's going to do it. Yeah, just a disgusting game. Just a game we're going to have to forget about and let it fade into the darkness because it was a bad outing, getting down 3-0, and then that 10-run 8th inning by the Cardinals really rubbed some salt into the wounds. Now, St. Louis playing so well since a week ago Sunday. They've lost once. Went into Boston, swept the 3-game series, took 2 or 3 from the Cubs, and then took the opener here against the Brewers. Got to kick these guys when they're down. Cannot get swept. This is a real big game for the Brewers on Tuesday night. You don't want to get swept in this series against St. Louis. You get swept, the Cardinals I know it's early with standings, but the Cardinals move within, 4.5 games? Because really, it's the Brewers in St. Louis. Forget about Pittsburgh. It's the Brewers in St. Louis. I just don't want to see St. Louis overtake the Brewers by Memorial Day, or by the time the Brewers get back from this road trip. Disaster. 18-1. Got to take it. It's a big game. Need a big effort from Wade Miley. And then go into Wednesday's game in the rubber game of the 3-game set. That's going to do it for me. I'm Chuck Freeman. Thanks for joining us at all. Again, you guys are great. Following us every day on Locked On Brewers. Following us on Twitter and all your great comments. I read them. And of course, there's comments on YouTube. You can put your comments on there as well. I'm Chuck Freeman. This is Locked On Brewers on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. We'll talk to you after tomorrow night's game, everybody.